Hey guys, it's Sean back. It's been a while since I've made a video about Reg server, so I decided to just have a little bit of a rant here. As you might know, my Reboot and Reg server account are on separate accounts, which means I can participate in all the events twice, because if you play two worlds in the same account, you can only claim rewards for most of the events once, which is the reason why I decided to split it out in the first place. So anyways, I just trained my Tanjiro on Bearer. I haven't really actually gotten around to doing it in Reboot. The only reason why I decided to do it on Bearer first is because I had some EXP vouchers that were expiring in about 1 hour, so I need to get a bit of a move on. And yeah, just training him to level 200. I'm just going to park him at level 200. I only wanted the Hyper Burninator. That's really all I wanted. So I got that now, and with that, I'll be able to use the EXP vouchers to get Penguin Sean up to level 260 throughout this event. So this is my other character that has a Sengoku badge and also the 3 totems. It's a Blaze Wizard, unfortunately, which isn't the greatest of classes, but because it's already a Cygnus Knight class as well, I can have the same cash shop inventory as my Nightwalker. And also, you know, I just decided why not? Why not just try Blaze Wizard? Because I know like almost no one plays Blaze Wizard. So I just decided to just YOLO. But yeah, I'll use my Hyper Burninator on this guy, and then while I do this, I can kind of rant a bit. So Tanjiro was an interesting experience. Like honestly, I haven't grinded in Reg server in a while, like on a new character, and just doing that today made me realize how much easier it is grinding on Reg server compared to Reboot because of Frenzy. If you don't know what Frenzy is, essentially it's this game-breaking totem that increases the spawn on the map. Normally the respawn rate is 7.2 seconds, I believe, but with Frenzy it's every second, and it increases the cap on the map as well, the mob cap, which puts people to getting about 60k kills an hour instead of the regular like 18 to 19k in Reboot. The only thing to note is that in Reboot we get 5 times the meso value from each meso bag, which actually puts our rate from farming higher in Reboot than Reg server. So I think on Reboot we get about like 700 mil an hour, somewhere around there. Might be higher now with the Talahart region as well, because that has like a passive extra mesos amount. I'm not exactly too sure how much people are farming these days, but on Reg server it's like probably around like 500 mil an hour is probably like the rate that we're getting. So it's slightly higher on Reboot. Wait, can I actually use this on this guy? Oh, hell yeah, I can. Easy. Yep, so this guy's level 239 now. So yeah, on grinding. Yeah, Reg server grinding is so much easier because of Frenzy. And honestly, like, I could even just like hold down just basic attack on Tanjiro for like a lot of the maps, and I just basically full clear the map, or like at least have a decent kill count where it's so lazy enough that I don't really care about like the reduced rate. But it's actually like, I see my EXP chart also like zooming up as well. So the whole grind only took an hour really. And that was an hour of frenzied training to level 200. So yeah, I forgot how easy Reg server training really is compared to Reboot, just because I've been playing Reboot for like the past 2 years exclusively. So with just doing dailies, I'll probably try and get this guy to level 260. So just doing like the Arcane River dailies really. That's all I'm really going to do on this guy. I don't really want to hardcore train him unless I'm running out of time. And I need to get to 260 because this guy's not there. In that case, then I'll start grinding him like manually with Frenzy. But again, I wouldn't expect it to take too long just because of Frenzy. This damage skin looks hideous. But let's see how bad it really is. Oh gosh, it looks so bad. But yeah, with this patch, I remembered that there was a survey that Reg server players had to fill out. So I just decided to do the survey like on camera, and I guess just talk about my thoughts on some of these questions. I do know what the questions are because I've been seeing it being posted in Reddit and people sharing their own thoughts. So yeah, I'm level, oh fuck, I'm not actually 281 yet. I'm getting close though. Do I support it? I'm actually, yes. The reason why is obviously Bearer, like as a Bearer player, our server is the most populated, but it's actually very, very small compared to the Reboot population. I think the one thing I noticed about Reboot is that I guess people only really play Reboot when they start the game now. Like I'd say about 80% of players start in Reboot because of their friends, or they've heard that it's free to play, whereas obviously Reg server is pay to win. So I completely get it as well. But also in that 20% of people who play reg server, in my opinion, I'd say about like 5% really only continue playing. The remaining 15% stop playing because they realize like how pay to win the game is, or you know how hard it is to progress at a certain point. Because there's definitely this mid-game like slumber, like this gap where people can't really progress unless they save up months worth of money just to buy like a single item and then repeat that over like an extended period of time. So there's definitely that, which I understand. And the only way to get past that gap is if you play really, really hard, like you grind your ass off, or you just pay. And obviously, you know, if people are playing the game, like why would they want to pay if it's a pay to win kind of thing? I don't think that culture is very felt in GMS. I know for sure KMS really enjoys that like pay to win aspect, but especially like GMS, the player demographic is a bit different. And yeah, with that, I guess if the worlds are merged, it'll be fun because there'll be a lot more people playing like the game in reg server, obviously, and then we'll be able to have this culture of reg server players. One thing that I do notice about Reboot is very like communal, so everyone understands like the meta in Reboot, whereas reg server, like I don't really see as many things. Like I see like, you know, there's achievements of like 1 or 2 people over the years of them just getting to a certain point because of being free to play, or you know, like even like the giga whales, how good their gear is, but no one really talks about like the meta of reg server like consistently. And I think that's something that I do want to understand more, and I guess show you guys as well, because I really don't think reg server is a bad game. And in my opinion, I personally think that reg server is actually at its best form at the moment, at the best state, just because, you know, it's pretty easy to get equips in the market, because it's like an old money game where like the whales, they upgrade the gear and then they sell like the shitter gear to other players, which drives the price of these equips down. So it's actually very accessible to get like, you know, like even 3-lined equips, like arcane equips. It's actually not that expensive to get those anymore. And yeah, like it's going to continue to be like that because, you know, you can trade these items across, and as people want to fund up, they had to sell their like older gear, which makes, you know, the population of these better gears more accessible to players, which drives the price down. So it's like a lot of supply and demand economics. So with the server merge, I expect it to be a bit more lively, and you know, it could create this culture of people understanding the meta of reg server, especially below like the end game. Like, you know, early mid game, people are like, what the fuck, how do we do this? Like, how do I replicate the way you made your mesos like 4 years ago? And obviously it doesn't work anymore because it's fucking been 4 years, right? And you can't really expect that to be like a guide to be like static over time, because it's a game. The game's always evolving. So back then I used to abuse juniper berry seeds, but you know, because of the changes with like the auto harvest system and threads of fate, there's so many different ways of getting juniper berry seeds, so that like I really don't recommend doing that anymore. Before you guys start asking me, I'm not really intending on starting like a new account again and playing through it, like, you know, just to like a mid-game point or anything, just because I've already done it like 3 times. So I'm a bit sick of it. I just want to commit to like the characters that I've poured my sweat and blood into like over the past few years. So yeah, I'm not really intending on starting another series on like a complete start from scratch kind of basis again. So I think the world merge is actually a really good thing for reg server. It might actually revive the servers, I reckon. So yeah, why am I for the server merge? Honestly, both of these. So I think the game's economy can be more active, but I think the player thing might be a bigger thing, because with more players will be a bigger population of people and more regular players. And you know, that drives a market. So I think more players will drive the economy even better. So I'll just say more players. If 4 servers were to be merged, which option would you prefer? Merge into 1 server or merge into 2 servers? Okay, I think this is for a question for the people who weren't supporting a world merge, because they want to just play this game like completely solo or whatnot. The thing is, you can still play solo, even if there is a world merge. You can completely play like Reboot in a reg server. You don't actually have to buy any items or anything if you don't want to, but this is giving like the majority of players more options to interact with more people. I personally have like a few friends who play Scania as well, and you know, it'll be great for me to just play with them, so we can actually do bosses together and yeah, progress together as well. So I'm all for this world merge. so merge into one server. I did see from the patch notes as well that we do have access to mystical familiar cards. So for the time being, you can only buy 6 of these before the event ends. But I reckon they'll be adding this into the shop if my gut feeling is not wrong. But yeah, I was thinking about throwing some onto my Lord Skeleton and seeing if we have any luck. So I'll only replace my familiars if I get 2 lines of usable stats. So, you know, like boss damage and I don't know, even just like a large healing fam, like 50% boss damage and large healing fam, then I can replace one of my familiars because most of these guys are actually like very good. So I have a double line boss damage fam. So this can only be replaced if I have 2 actual usable line legendary familiar. Otherwise, this is actually going to be better. This is 30% and a large healing fam. So this one's actually pretty good too. This one is the one that I would want to replace because I obviously only have 20% boss damage, but I do have a large healing and MP to party members as well with this. So I'll need to get something decent if I want to replace this with the Lord Skeleton. But fortunately in Bera, even fams are very, very cheap as well to get. It's ridiculously cheap. I think it's only like 100k per fam. So this will cost only something like 50 mil or something. I don't know if the math is right, but yeah, it's like, you get the point. It's really cheap. It's like, it's not even 100 mil to get one of these mystical fam cards. I did have a lot of Fiberians I wanted to get up as well, just to like keep the unique fams going. But because I'm starting to push for legendary fams, I don't think this is really worth it. Like, you know, it will be like a marginal game, but I'll eventually want to replace with legendary fams anyways. I might as well just focus the efforts on my fams on my other characters, like my Night Lord, for example. So I don't think I'm going to touch these. These fams are really easy to level from level 1 to level 5. I think on Reg server, you will only take about 50 to 100 fam juice per 3 of these fams to get from level 1 to level 5. Whereas on Reboot, on base spawn, it takes about 400 fam juice to get them from level 1 to level 5. Which is why, you know, obviously getting fams up is a lot harder in Reboot than it is in Reg server. And again, that's due to Frenzy. So you see how Frenzy is such a meta-defining item. I won't really be investing legendary fams on my other characters because, you know, each of them costs like 20 bill. It's really not cost efficient. I'll probably just settle for some unique fams that are decent, like what I have here on the other guys. But I want to replace these fams slowly with the Lord Skeleton and the other legendary fams that I have as well. But yeah, let's just get some cubes. So I have 3 this month and then 3 next month. So, you know, if you play a Reg server, just make sure that you don't miss out on the mystical cubes because it will reset in April. And hopefully I release this video before April. Yeah, so I just need 2 usable lines. Yeah, so I have 50% IED. So yeah, it's not really that usable. So I'll probably keep throwing more cubes on this in April. The current meso rate right now is 344 points per 100 mil mesos. So for each glowing cube, it costs about 400 mil per cube, which is actually pretty unreasonable, obviously, because in Reboot, you know how many cubes you need to get like 3 lines, and you know, it's expensive. But I wasn't even joking when I was saying that I feel like Reg server is in one of the best states it's ever been in, especially Bera at least. Because of botters, they've driven the price of mesos down, making maple points more valuable. You can afford to use like mesos on, say, Star Force, and it actually won't be very expensive, like if you convert it to a real life amount of dollar. So the benefit of that is if you just want to chuck $100 in this game and then you want to turn that into mesos, you'll have a lot more mesos to play with than if the mesos was more valuable, obviously. So that's a benefit of having a low meso value market at the moment. And as I've mentioned before, the price of 3-line equips is basically the cheapest it's ever been. Yeah, I know it's Abslab, but at least it's a finished gear and this costs 35 bill. So as I mentioned, this is due to people wanting better gear, which means, you know, if they're transitioning from Eternals to CRAs, what do they do to the CRAs? Well, some of them might give the CRAs to their mules, but most of them will sell their CRAs because it's expensive getting the latest, like, expensive gear, obviously. So they want to subsidize some of the cost. But the thing is, every time they sell items, it's going to be worth less, especially because a large majority of players in Reg servers are older players. And there's not as many newer players, which is making the price of these endgame equips cheaper than ever. And due to this, I'm pretty excited personally because it'll help me fund my other characters, my other Legion champion characters, actually quite a lot cheaper than what it would have been like even like 5 years ago. Although botters are hurting the value of mesos, this actually creates some more options for people to star force their own equips. But that's my take on this situation at the moment. See, even like the price of Berserk like is 21 bill. And because equips can be transferred, like with PSOCs, whatever you get out of the cubes, like, you know, in the chance that you get like 3-line int for a luck class, you can just flip it to the market, which actually makes the price of 3-line equips actually cheaper as well. So it's actually a great time to just buy pre-cubed equips and just star force yourself to 22 stars, in my opinion. But also the thing to note is that we're about to get new hexa skills, which is going to make the barrier of entry to these bosses even easier. So, you know, you might have had 5 mules that can go up to normal slime, but if you grind them a bit more and you max out your new hexa skills, you might be able to solo like hard Lomian, for example, which is going to make getting these equips a lot easier because there's going to be more of them in the market. So I am a bit hesitant to buy any pitch boss at the moment because we're about to get a huge power creep soon. Like, I think people would estimate about 15% FD, which is actually quite a lot if you max your hexa skills. But obviously in Reg server, and especially in Bera, it's extremely easy to max your hexa skills because, you know, you have Frenzy. And also because of Frenzy, Soul Erda is like dirt cheap in Reg server. Like, it's only 2.3 mil per Soul Erda. So you can actually max your hexa skills much faster in Reg server if you just have the money to just buy the Soul Erda fragments yourself. Or, you know, you could farm these like you do in Reboot as well. That's another option. But yeah, the options are also here. And this is actually going to make making Legion champions like a lot easier because you can essentially assume that you're going to be working with a character that has max hexa skill, and that's actually a huge difference compared to a character that has basically no 6 job. That's the issue that we have in Reboot because you can only really get like 12 a day from dailies, and you can get like 30 an hour if you farm. But obviously, you know, you need heaps of these to max out. I think you need like 50,000 Soul Erda fragments. It'll take like 3 years or something to max all your hexa skills. And obviously, you know, for Legion champions, you don't really want to invest that amount of time into each of the characters that aren't really your main. So Reg server is actually a lot easier to gear up your Legion champion. And that's actually a content idea that I was going to work on after we get that 1+4 hyper burning. Just funding up a character to a point where you can solo Black Mage and seeing how much it costs. But yeah, TLDR, botters are bad, but also botters aren't that bad either as well, in my opinion. And sure, for people like Nero who farm like, you know, like 10 hours a day, because of botters, the value of the Soul Erda fragments they farm is going to be like a lot lower. So they're going to view botters as bad. But for regular players like me, botters are good because they'll allow me to max my 6 job cheaply. So there's always 2 sides of a coin, and it kind of depends on the lens that you're looking through to determine if something's good or bad. But, you know, I'm not of a strong opinion that everything inherently has a good and bad, but it's up to your situation and how you want to interpret it that can make it good or bad. But yeah, also because Soul Erda is so cheap as well, like everyone can make those Legion champions with a maxed hexa matrix in Reg server like very cheaply. So I don't really view this as a bad thing for anyone, to be honest. And this is the kind of game I enjoy. Like, I just enjoy trying to understand like what the trend is, like what the meta is, and like just trying to capitalize on the opportunities that I see. And that's why, you know, I can merch, for example, because I see the opportunities. So I hope these go down in price. At one point, I was thinking about selling all my legendary fams to pick up one of the Nezuko's because I thought, you know, it'll go up in value surely, but it's like, I don't really know. Like I have no doubt this will keep going up in price, but the barrier of entry in the price is a bit too high for me to want to join. And in merching, you never really want to join a market that you're not really comfortable in. And yeah, I think little Nezuko has actually gone up in price. Yeah, see, like it was going for like 100 bill, and then it's like 170 bill. So the people who sold the little Nezuko's at 100 bill are probably like crying right now because they could have doubled that if they just waited like a week. And yeah, recently I've been noticing people argue over like Reboot versus Reg server. As someone who plays both servers, I understand both sides of the argument. I just hope that everyone understands that both servers has their strengths and weaknesses, and you're not being very respectful to someone saying that there's no progression in a server, and because it's all like completely pay to win, or the other side saying that the other server is just a mindless grind. Like, everyone has their own preferences on how they want to enjoy the games. So I just wish that as a community, we can all band together and understand each other's differences and, you know, embrace those. And with that, we'll be able to become a stronger community for the future as well. But anyways, that's all my thoughts for now. Let me know in the comments what you think about what I've said. You know, am I being too controversial? Am I not talking enough about certain things? And I hope everybody else has the same sort of attitude and not having negative attitudes like wishing for someone's downfall. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks.